Donald Trump has made it clear he's ready to go nuclear on the woke university system in America, and honestly, a lot of folks are cheering him on. His new stance is simple: if elite universities want to act like activist factories, churning out people who seemingly hate the very country that gave them their opportunities, they can go right ahead. But they're not going to do it on the taxpayer's dime anymore. That's the line Trump is drawing, and he's not alone. There's growing support for the idea that if a private university wants to fill its halls with radicalized, anti-American ideologues, then fine, they just shouldn't be funded by regular Americans who disagree with their mission. Trump's critique goes further than just ideology, though. He's blasting institutions like Harvard, which not only accept billions of federal dollars but also sit on massive endowments, like Harvard's $54 billion one. That's more than the GDP of some countries. And yet, they're still not paying taxes? Trump's asking the obvious question: why should universities that operate like profit-driven businesses and foster environments hostile to American values be granted nonprofit tax-exempt status? South Dakota governor is taking action too. She's threatening to pull Harvard's ability to accept foreign students if they won't cooperate with federal investigations into whether some visa holders have been involved in illegal protests. She made the bold move of putting Harvard on notice in a strongly worded letter, arguing that attending a prestigious American university is a privilege, not a right. And if these institutions are harboring individuals who are breaking laws under the guise of protest, then it's time to reevaluate their access to federal benefits and international recruitment. What's especially eye-opening is just how many foreign students Harvard brings in, over 10,000, many of whom come from countries that may not share American values. Trump and others are asking, why are we importing people who don't respect the U.S. or its institutions? And more importantly, why are we subsidizing their education? Meanwhile, the government is leaning on the anti-Semitism narrative to push back against these campuses. Harvard, for instance, has been accused of fostering a hostile environment for Jewish students by failing to properly address anti-Semitic incidents. But some observers, including conservatives, feel uneasy about the way this argument is being used. The concern isn't just about defending Jewish students, it's about using this issue as a convenient political tool. Critics are saying, look, we don't need to frame everything around anti-Semitism when the bigger issue is that these schools are allowing and sometimes encouraging radical ideologies that threaten American unity. Trump is also calling on the IRS to revoke Harvard's tax-exempt status, citing the school's role in pushing political ideologies rather than providing education. He argues that universities like Harvard are acting more like political think tanks than academic institutions. They aren't focused on truth or knowledge. They're focused on indoctrination. Trump's administration even proposed reviewing all current and future Harvard faculty for plagiarism, pointing out that many professors at elite schools have been caught faking academic work or stealing ideas. And it's not just the schools. Trump's also calling out the Federal Reserve Chair, accusing him of intentionally slowing down rate cuts to hurt Trump politically. While some economists argue that keeping rates steady is a smart move, Trump's camp believes Powell is playing politics and that America could really benefit from lower interest rates right now. Trump suspects Powell is trying to stifle the economy to make things harder for him heading into the election, especially as economic performance is one of Trump's strongest cards. But Trump's moves aren't just about schools and the Fed. He's also pulling one of his classic political judo tricks by turning the tables on Democrats. One of his recent maneuvers involved a controversial deportation case. Democrats had rallied around a man they claimed was wrongfully deported. Turns out the man had gang ties and a restraining order from his wife. Court documents backed up everything Trump's administration said. Once again, Trump exposed the left's blind spots, showing how they often rush to defend individuals without checking the facts. Through all of this, Trump's real target seems to be the system itself, the elite machine that tells average Americans they're not good enough unless they get a degree from a place like Harvard. The same system that Barack Obama helped build by defunding vocational training and pushing everyone into college. The idea was to create a college or bust culture. But what that really did was set up a pipeline into institutions that often teach young people to reject the very country that gave them those opportunities. That's the broader point Trump and others are making. This isn't just about education. It's about cultural control. Harvard and other elite schools have become the gatekeepers of the American dream. If you don't get their stamp of approval, usually by buying into their ideology, you're left behind. Trump wants to change that. He doesn't want to reform Harvard. He wants Americans to stop idolizing it. He wants people to stop pretending that these institutions are sacred. Because in his view, they're not educating, they're radicalizing. And the impact of his pressure campaign is already being felt. Reports suggest that behind closed doors, institutions like Harvard are starting to bend. They may not admit it publicly, but the threat of losing billions in tax benefits and federal funding is causing some serious reconsideration. Trump has already won in some ways. He's forced these institutions to reveal their true priorities. They're more concerned with defending ideological recruits than protecting academic freedom. What comes next could be even more significant. The IRS is actively reviewing Harvard's tax-exempt status, a move that could reshape the entire landscape of higher education. If Harvard loses its nonprofit status, it sets a precedent. Other schools with massive endowments and political agendas could be next. Trump's push might mark the beginning of a broader reckoning for the university system, one that's been long overdue. And just to twist the knife, Trump's team is making merit-based hiring a focus in its attacks. They're calling for an audit of hiring practices and even demanding faculty reviews for plagiarism, something that might send shockwaves through academia. The elite system, built on credentials, connections, and ideological conformity, is now under fire from the very taxpayers it has long looked down upon. At the end of the day, Trump's not just playing politics. He's waging war on an entire worldview. The one that says only elites know what's best, that America's values are outdated, and that ordinary people shouldn't have a voice unless they go through the Ivy League filter. For Trump and his supporters, that filter is exactly what's broken, and they're not interested in fixing it. They're ready to throw it out entirely. And if Harvard and others keep resisting, Trump's message is clear: no more freebies. No more tax breaks. No more federal dollars to fund anti-American rhetoric. If these schools want to act like political organizations, then they should be treated like political organizations, taxed, regulated, and held accountable just like any other business. The era of untouchable academia may finally be coming to an end. But what do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Be sure to like the video and subscribe for more content.